Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. Have you ever thought you were in love at first sight? Well, there's a reason for that. In today's show, we will be exploring the science of love, desire, and happiness. Bob and Rollie discuss the physical and chemical reactions and changes that occur in the brain and body when these emotions are triggered. They also share some great tips that you can use to help foster meaningful relationships in your life and share the 2 magic questions that can help everyone improve and strengthen personal relationships. So sit back, relax, and get ready to live forever young.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live Forever Young Radio. I'm Bob. I am here with Rollie. Rollie, how are you today?
Doing good, Bob. How's it going, man?
Doing very well. Good. I like to see that you have the beard going because that means it's playoff time for the National Hockey League.
Yes,
and
yes.
For the 3rd year in a row, our hometown team, the Tampa Bay Lightning, are in the finals of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Even
right?
just that is an accomplishment.
And you're going to keep the beard until the playoffs are over, win or lose.
Exactly. Well, I said if the Lightning lose, I'll keep it and dye it blue. But if they win, I just get to shave it. So
all right.
I know they're going to win.
Okay.
So that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, so we'll see it be shaved next time we do a podcast.
I hope so, too.
Great. And so, Rollie, today we're going to talk about this topic of love and desire and how it's associated with happiness.
Absolutely.
It's going to be really fun. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the neurotransmitters that are activated when you have a new love and what happens as it progresses into a lasting love, how the brain changes.
Cool.
And we're going to talk about exercise, circulation, stress management, communications, and finally, 2 magic questions that will help everyone improve their relationships so that they have more lasting love, desire, and happiness.
That's awesome.
How's that sound?
That sounds great. If I could just get those 2 questions, that would probably make my day.
Good. We'll be sure we get to it.
All right.
So to start with, we know from research that different things happen in people's brains when they first meet someone that they think they're falling in love with.
Right.
And also we know how that changes, their brain chemistry changes over time if they're lucky enough for it to move into a lasting love.
Right.
And so first thing to know is what goes up in terms of the neurotransmitters when people have this new love. And the one thing that goes up is your dopamine. Right? So dopamine is associated with a reward center.
Right.
So it's the same kind of thing where people get addicted to sugar.
Right.
People get addicted to drugs.
Right.
It's the same receptors in the brain when people fall in love.
That's funny.
So they have this addiction to it, right?
Wow.
But in addition, they also have their cortisol rises, which is associated with stress.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot.
It's a little bit stressful when you have this new love. You're worried about maybe I shouldn't talk about this, shouldn't talk about that in general.
Right.
The general rule is you don't talk about your crazy uncle that lives in the basement on the first date.
Exactly.
Right? That's going to raise your cortisol. Right?
Leave those out.
The other thing that happens is a neurotransmitter called norepinephrine goes up.
Right.
Makes you feel joyful, and it also makes you less hungry.
Whoa.
You eat less. So you know how people would say, oh, I'm just so in love and I just can't even eat.
Yes.
That's from norepinephrine. Right?
That's funny. Yeah, there's a song that goes, I don't want to eat, I don't want to sleep, I just want to keep on loving you.
There you go.
That's it.
You got it. That's exactly it. So now there's serotonin, it's important, goes down, right?
Ooh,
and when your
that's not
serotonin
good.
goes down, you tend to be hopeful, right? But you also tend to have like obsessive compulsive and preoccupying thoughts. So that's why people say, well, I can't think of anything. I can't get any work done. All I can do is think about this new love.
That's
right?
crazy.
It's because your serotonin goes down. And when people have low serotonin, in general, right, they're prone to obsessive compulsive disorder.
Okay.
Right? So this is just what happens.
Right. Well, you hear a lot about the commercials for bipolar disorder and stuff. People get obsessive about it, and that must have an issue with the serotonin production, obviously.
Yes, that's partly it. Now, if people then stay together for a while and it begins to transition, some of these neurotransmitters begin to return to normal.
Okay.
But then another neurotransmitter tends to go up and stay slightly elevated, which is oxytocin. Oxytocin's the molecule of love and compassion, right? So it's this longer term compassion and love that's not quite the same as the new love that's obsessed and you can't eat and
right,
all like that. So it's not the same as the new love, but there are certain things that we can do that will allow us to have the deep satisfaction of a lasting love, but maintain some of that new love at the same time.
Cool.
Right? And so
sounds good to me.
One of the things that really helps to maintain some of that new love is exercise.
Really?
Yep. Exercise changes the whole way that you feel about yourself, and it changes your hormones so that as you're more active, you actually feel more attractive yourself. And if your partner is exercising, they feel more attractive. And there are actual studies related to body mass index that show that desire towards another human being is elevated the lower their body mass index is up to a certain point.
Really?
Right? And so it's very good to exercise, maintain an ideal body mass index.
Makes sense.
And this helps.
Yeah,
right?
That makes sense, Right. That's cool.
The other thing is that's really important for numerous aspects of your body is circulation.
Right.
So circulation helps with exercise, okay? Circulation helps with blood flow to your brain.
Right.
It helps with blood flow all throughout your body. And it's really good to know what it is that helps with circulation. And we did a whole podcast on circulation.
Yeah, it's actually called The Importance of Circulation for Your Stem Cells with Ann Harrison.
There you go. So people can listen to that whole podcast, but just in general, we talk about a special circulation mat that people can get to lie on. And we talk about the compounds that are in our product called Boomer Boost, including arginine and phosphatidylcholine.
Trimethylglycine.
Yeah, all things that tend to help with circulation and the strength of your heart, branched chain amino acids, regular amino acids, and the like. Right?
All those good vitamins, man, they really help strengthen it, increase the circulation, and then you can actually get back to exercising and stuff.
That's right. Once you feel more energy, which you will from better circulation, you'll feel like exercising.
Exactly.
And it just helps build upon this whole strategy for maintaining this long-term love that coupled with the initial sensation and excitement of the new love.
Of the new, right.
Other really big thing is stress management. Nothing will wreck romance more than stress.
Very true.
That might lead to arguments, right? And so we know that in order to manage your stress, you have to manage your general belief, your general readiness to believe whether or not things are okay.
Yep.
Now, people in general can tend to get carried away with the idea that things are not okay.
Right.
Some people call it awfulizing.
Awfulizations.
Yeah. So the average American, they say 95% of the time is of the belief that things are not okay.
Right.
Right. So there are strategies for dealing with this, which we've done podcasts on. One on inner balance, finding your inner balance.
Yep, finding your inner balance is really good. We walk you through the actual app and how you use it on your phone. So if you guys haven't got a chance to use it, it talks about the little thing that clips on your ear and it checks your heart rate and it syncs it up. So you really need to check that out if you haven't. How to achieve inner balance.
Yep, great one. There's another one we've done just recently on havening.
Yeah, it's called havening, the power of touch.
Yep, another very, very effective technique for changing the amount of time you have this background belief that things are okay or not okay.
Right.
And it's also very effective for specific incidents that, or specific types of beliefs that are causing triggers that trigger stress from times in the past, PTSD type stuff. Havening is really good for creating a permanent interruption.
Yeah, and that podcast about havening that we did, it actually goes a lot into that. It gets some details. Go check that out.
And in relationships, especially longer lasting ones, people will discover, ooh, this person's got these triggers that relate to their childhood, relate to their upbringing, relate to their time in the military, something that occurred. And so they have this hair trigger temper, or they overreact to things.
Right.
I'm not so sure this is the right person for me. Okay. So havening helps people to eliminate those aspects of overreacting or triggers that can have a detrimental effect on a loving relationship.
Yeah, and that's, a lot of the times that's where it stems from, because, the stress causes, an argument, and then that kind of takes us to our next thing, which is communication.
Yeah.
Communication, like they say, is key, right?
Yeah. And we have a whole podcast on nonviolent communication.
Yes, it's actually just called simply how to use nonviolent communication.
Yeah.
It's great.
And nonviolent communication, that's the name of a book. It was written by Marshall Rosenberg.
Right.
And this is a great book for a couple to study together, right? Sit together, begin reading it, begin practicing it, and then talk with each other about it. And this is a technique that changes our primary representational system, what we're focused on, to one of feelings, okay, towards the kinesthetic. So oftentimes when people are communicating, they're listening, but at the same time, their brain is fast forwarding ahead, and they have a pre-programmed response that they can't wait to get out. And sometimes it gets blurted out even before the person's done speaking. And now you're interrupting, which can cause a lot of anxiety in the person that was hoping to be heard in totality. So the acronym for nonviolent communications I call OFNR, OFNR. So the O is observe,
Right.
without interrupting and without judgment. Just simply listen. But while you're listening and watching, try to listen and watch for what the other person is feeling. And then when they're done speaking, instead of interjecting something like, oh, well, I know how to fix that for you, just do this, right? The response then goes from the observation, the O, to the F, right, which is feelings.
Right.
And so you'd say, wow, it seems to me like you're feeling ...
About
Okay? Yeah.
whatever.
You're feeling disappointed.
Right.
Okay. So the person then can reply back, yes, that's exactly it. Or they can say, well, it is disappointed, but it's also this. Okay. And then you're going to move to the N of
Right.
Offner, which is the needs.
The needs.
And so, wow, so you're feeling disappointed. Perhaps it might mean that you need more of this, less of this, something new, okay? And it's a suggestion. And the other person might say, that's exactly what I need.
Right.
Or, no, what I really need is this. Okay? Now, because it's a conversation between two people, most of the time, it's a need related to the other person.
Right.
I need you to do this, or I need you to not do this. right? And so the R at the end of oftener is for a request.
A reasonable request.
A reasonable request.
Right.
It's also respectful. And it can come in the terms of, yeah, in order for me to have this need met, I would like to request that you do this or you don't do this.
Right.
Right? And now you have OFNR. If the person can agree to that request because it's reasonable, it's small, incremental. It's not like you have to change everything about yourself by 2 o'clock
Or we're done.
Pack your stuff. Right?
Yeah.
It's a reasonable request.
Right.
Please don't ever use this word again when we're discussing this, because I feel that is just an unacceptable word to use.
Okay.
Okay. So, I can promise that I won't do that anymore, and I respect your need for me to do that. I'm anticipating that both of us are going to feel better after this conversation. Right? That's
how it works.
NVC, Nonviolent Communication. It's about a 200-page book. Very, very enjoyable to learn to use this NVC.
Or you can check out our podcast
Yes.
on boomerboost.com.
Yes.
Go to the Live
Do
Forever.
both.
Go to the Live Forever Young tab at the top. Hit on that, and it'll bring you down. It'll show you all our podcasts, blogs, and recipes. And if you guys like what we're talking about, let us know about some other topics. Give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel too. That would be really great. But yeah, I mean, we're just going to be coming up with new topics. We're keeping going. And again, if you guys have anything you want to hear about or anything that you think we should cover, go ahead and write us an email to boomerboost@boomerboost.com. And even if you just have comments about the show, how to make it better, anything we could do, we'd love to hear from you guys.
Awesome. Rollie, there's one last part to this. We promised we would talk about the 2 magic questions.
I know.
All right.
I'm waiting.
So imagine again, it's a couple, because we're talking about love, desire, and happiness. And this can even be with your children, right? So there's a couple of questions. And the first one starts with the phrase, what are the most important things for you about blank? Okay. Now, in this case, we could use the word a relationship. What are the most important things for you about a relationship? And the other person might say something like, well, respect is important for me.
And trust.
And trust, and also love.
Right.
Okay. And so you make note of this. Some people will even write it down when they first do this in a relationship. And the follow-up question is, what exactly would have to happen in order for you to feel that blank is being accomplished, right? Now, depending on the word, you can change it a little. So we'll use the word love. So what exactly would have to happen in order for you to feel loved, right? By me.
Right.
By me.
By
okay?
the person
So
that's talking, right.
now you let them think about it and say what it is. So, and you're going to get different answers from different people.
Right.
One person might say, well, I would feel loved if you hold my hand when we're out in public, right? Another person might say, flowers are my favorite thing, and I would like you to bring me flowers that will show me that you love me. The other might be, well, I'll feel loved if I know I can trust you. So it might go to the next thing.
Right.
And then you could say, well, what exactly would have to happen in order for you to feel that I'm trustworthy? Okay. So the exact is very important. And then if you feel it in your heart that you can comply or help the other person in this regard, you can repeat back. Let me see if I've got this straight. What's most important to you about a relationship is love and respect and trust. And what would have to happen in order for you to feel loved is I'll hold your hand in public, I'll bring you flowers, and I will be trustworthy. And then it means this and this and this. And this is the important time to return these words exactly like the other person said. This is not a time to paraphrase.
No paraphrasing.
Because if you paraphrase, the person will go, no, that's not what I said.
You weren't listening.
Right. Now, you also want to, just like with nonviolent communication, give time for feedback, because people will modify and add. So they'll go, well, I said it was this, but what I really meant was this. Right? So it's like, okay, so what you really meant was, and the specific words back. Right?
Gotcha.
And now you're on the same page, and there's no amorphous, oh, I didn't know, I didn't understand, you should have told me. This is very specific communication.
Exactly.
So that people understand each other deeply and have a respectful statement that says, I can do all these things. I understand what it is that will make you feel that I love you and that you trust me, and I can do all of these things. Right?
There you go.
Now, this makes this commitment, right?
Right.
So people say, well, we're going to make a commitment in the relationship. Well, usually people are referring to, I'm committed to you, and it's a lifelong thing.
Right.
It's like, but what makes somebody want to make a commitment of that magnitude, right? It's because of the small commitments that lead to that.
Gotcha.
I'm committed to showing you I love you. I'm committed to being trustworthy.
Right.
Right? And so those commitments that are stacked up and demonstrated over time, in real time, that's what leads to the bigger commitment. This is someone I want to spend my life with because.
Right.
Right? And so those questions are really valuable. You can also add in kind of at the end of this conversation, where you can say, all right, so in regard to the trust thing, what is it that I should never do?
Right.
Right? And also, what is it that I should always do? Because the never and always might not come out in the first two questions.
Right.
But just to make doubly sure, let's get it straight.
Yeah.
What should I never do? And what should I always do?
Yeah, well,
if I'm to be trustworthy, what is it that I should never do?
Right. While you're having the conversation, you might as well define it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, this works very well with your children also. And you'll get really incredible answers from children in response to these questions.
That's cool.
What should a parent always do? And what should a parent never do? And then what the parent says to the child, what should a child always do? And what should a child never do? You'd be amazed the answers that come out when those questions are asked. Some of them are very profound. Some of them are funny. But some of them are deeply profound. A child might say, for example, a child should never commit suicide. Right? And that's profound.
It is very profound.
And so if people are going to use these communication strategies, this is not a cute thing. Oh, we're going to sit down and have a chat. No. This is a solemn commitment toward understanding to lead to more long-lasting love. And it can be, if you pronounce it and intend it sincerely in your heart, it can be a solemn pronouncement. I understand, and I will never do this. I will always do this. And I always promise to listen fully for what you're feeling and do my best to accommodate your needs in regard to your feelings. Right? So what a beautiful platform to build off of for a relationship that can hopefully
it's a foundation.
Be long-lasting, but also because it's so deeply committed, also leads to a continual new love sensation. It's like I'm falling in love with this person over and over again every day because of these things 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
That's cool, man. Yeah, it's good because a lot of the times relationships get to a point and people stop working on them and there's not even an iota of communication. And so what you're talking about with the old love and the new love thing, if there's a way to kind of get back out of that funk, this would be one of them.
That's it. So, Rollie, thank you. Hopefully We will
course.
be in a very loving feeling next time because the Lightning have won their third straight Stanley Cup.
I'm hoping so.
We are going to love them regardless of what happens.
That's true.
But I want to thank everybody for watching and listening to Live Forever Young Radio, and we'll see you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to Live Forever Young Radio. Check us out at liveforeveryoungradio.com.